Uh-huh. Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's right, it's finally here! The video you've all been waiting for! I'm sorry I've procrastinated on this as much as I have. I've been a procrastinator my whole life, but here we are today. I cannot properly convey to you in words how much this video has been requested. Tekking, when are you gonna talk about Shinobu? When are you gonna talk about her sexy, mature talents? Bring it on! We want to know about this stuff! I honestly have received... It is not an exaggeration to say I've received over 10 trillion comments about this. Some of the comments go all the way back to 2006, and I didn't even have a YouTube channel back in 2006. I don't even know how that works. Some of them I think even from the 1970s, as far back as they go, and that's even more confusing because One Piece didn't exist back then, and YouTube wasn't even a thing. The internet wasn't even publicly available. All I can gather from this is that in some far-flung future, or maybe a parallel reality or something, there are a lot of people that really want to know about Shinobu, and their interest in this subject has seeped into our dimension. That's all I got, but okay, so today we're going to be talking about Shinobu's mature fruit, or her juku no mi, or in the English Viz translation, it's the ripe fruit. Maybe they thought mature fruit might not sound right or whatever, and so they went with ripe instead of mature, because juku suru just means to mature in Japan, and of course we all know that Shinobu is a very mature lady, absolutely, of course, right? So, however, I still used younger Shinobu for the thumbnail because, well, why wouldn't I use younger Shinobu for the thumbnail, exactly? Okay, so, this is a video I've had on the back burner for a while, like, ever since her ability was shown. The first time we saw it was when Kaido... This technique managed to defeat Kaido's Boro Breath. Kind of, but it was able to allow everyone to survive Kaido's Boro Breath, so don't sleep on this ability. When we first saw this, I was like, oh, okay, that's Shinobu's Devil Fruit power, or her ninjutsu, as it is in Wano, because they don't really know the whole concept of Devil Fruit, so it's like ninjutsu, or sorcery, or secret techniques, or something like that. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I'll put that on the back burner, on the back shelf, and we'll wait a couple of months, or whatever, or years, I guess, until we talk about that. And, a lot of other stuff came up, you know, Kaido being a dragon, for one thing, that kind of took precedence, but also everything with the calamities, and then the last chapter we had a lot of stuff. You'd think it would be, I'd be talking about Zoro versus Kamazo, because the animation in that fight, I know, right? I am still gonna talk about that, but man. But there was also the scene with Shinobu where she had her big emotional moment to Law and everybody, and it was emotional enough in the manga, but in the anime it was like to a whole new level, where I really felt it, because it's like, you know, the plan was being leaked. I would still honestly blame Kinemon on that for passing out the flyers to everybody in the flower capital, you know, go figure, and it was written in a code that pretty much anybody that's from Wano would be able to decipher, and then he thought it was a big plan or whatever. I blame more Kinemon on that, but Shinobu was like saying to Law, it's like, oh, you gotta get rid of Beppo and Sachi and Penguin, we need to sneak in and assassinate them or something so they don't spill any more beans, and Law gets really pissed at her because, you know, she's bad-talking his crew and everything like that, but Shinobu just breaks down crying, and she's like, you know, this is not a game we are playing, okay? We have one chance at this. It's been 20 years. I have been waiting for 2 decades for this day. If we screw this up, it's over and the country's ruined forever, okay? So she's like really freaking out and having like a big panic attack about that, rightfully so, with all the stuff that's been weighing her down, right? So I thought this was a good time to talk about Shinobu's ability, because it actually is a really powerful ability. We've only seen her use it a few times in the story, but if it can do all the things that we assume it can do, then, oh yeah, it's gonna be really powerful. Okay, so the true power of the mature fruit is kind of similar to Jori Bonnie's ability. So Jori Bonnie, we don't know the name of her fruit yet, I'm just gonna call it the age fruit because that seems to be what it is. She can manipulate the ages of individuals or animals that she has, well, I would say she's come in direct contact with, but we've also seen instances where she can affect the ages of people that she did not directly touch, like the Marines at Sabaody. She basically just forced a bunch of Marines in a large squad to just become either old men or little babies, and she was on top of a building the entire time. So whatever how she triggers her ability, it's the ability to manipulate the ages of living things. From what we understand so far with Shinobu, and this is only from what we understand so far because I don't believe Shinobu has ever directly come out and said this restriction, but from what we can understand so far, she is able to age inanimate objects to the point where they fall apart. Alright, so she did this with the ground when they were at Curry Castle. They were at Odin Castle, the ruins of that, and Kaido went to go use his Boro breath to just obliterate the entire mountainside. She used the power of her Juku Juku no Mi to create a sinkhole in the ground. She touched the ground, and you have to think about this. This happened quick, because Kaido is a freaking dragon. It did not take him very long to go from Okabore Town to the Odin Castle, which is looming over it. So Kaido was just like, oh, Odin Castle, alright. Boom! Like, how long did that take, really? And then there was also the moment for the Straw Hats and Shinobu and everybody else and Beppo up on the castle to really notice, like, holy crap, he's coming for us! You know? And then the Boro breath itself only took like a couple of seconds, like, Boro breath! So the entire castle was obliterated in probably less than 10 seconds, all told, everything considered. And in that small window of time, Shinobu had the foresight as a ninja, a sexy ninja, Sekushi Nimpo, you know? She was able to activate her ability, touch the ground, and age the actual dirt and the soil itself to the point where it became a sinkhole. Alright, so kind of think of it similar to Crocodile's ability a little bit, where Crocodile, his ability is not aging, his ability is dehydration, to literally touch the ground and like absorb everything to the point where it turns into sand. And he can even do this with rocks and like stone and stuff. It doesn't have to be just the soil, but he can turn pretty much anything into sand just by sucking out all the moisture and everything, right? So something kind of similar to Shinobu's Juku Juku no Mi, where she touches the ground and ages the ground by probably several centuries in an instant, and the ground just, you know, sinks down. And so that's how they were able to avoid the Boro breath, because they're on the surface here, Kaido's here, Boro breath! And just obliterates everything on the surface. There were some drawbacks to this, one of which being that even after she activated the ability, she can't control the level of aging, it seems, because she ages the ground really fast to get them to sink, and it was still sinking, so they actually had to be physically pulled out of the hole. I think Chopper had to use his guard point to, like, turn into a giant puffball to keep them from dropping all the way down through the mountain. But that might just be because that was a really dire instance. So maybe Shinobu is able to kind of control the dial of how fast she wants something to age. So if, for example, she's trying to sneak into a castle or something and she comes up to a big, heavily fortified wooden door, like a giant wooden vault door that's got barricades behind it, it's locked up tight and sealed with like deadbolts and stuff. In that particular instance, maybe Shinobu can just go up to the door and just touch it and just be like, you know, 200 years, and then just snap her fingers and the freaking door will immediately age 200 years. Like, there might be a little bit of a time lag, but it would be just, like, really quick, and just, like, and the whole door and the deadbolts and the reinforcements and everything, the blockades, would immediately rot and decay. If it doesn't reduce the door to just dust and detritus right there, then it would weaken it enough that you could basically just, you know, bash it open and you can just go in, right? So maybe in the situation with the sinkhole, it was such a dangerous circumstance with Kaido rushing toward them to do the Boro breath, like, this hits, we're all dead. So maybe she was like, ah, 2,000 years! And then just like, it just goes straight down. Like, I aged the ground like 2 millennia! And just immediately go down. So she didn't really have a chance to control it there. She used it later on when they were in the attic. Also, that was another instance where they were trying to make a quick getaway, where she used the technique there. I think that was the rock, not the rock garden, it's a pun on rock garden, it's Sekushi Nimpo Kare-san Sui, which is like the rot garden. So rock garden, rot garden, you see where it's coming from there? Yeah. And so she touched the ceiling and it kind of like rotted a little bit, like bloop, it kind of spread out a bit there, and then the ceiling collapsed, okay? But it does seem she's able to at least control the level of this. So when she's trying to escape with the ceiling, considering it's a ceiling, you know, it's made of wood, and probably not even like the most sturdy wood in the world, you know, not like the actual ground or anything, or not like a heavily reinforced door, it's a ceiling. So she's probably just like, maybe like, you know, 50 years or whatever, and then that rots it enough so that it falls apart, and they actually landed on Orochi's head, okay? But no, like, let's seriously think about this. I think that's, like, the only time in the story she's really used the ability. She's probably used it again, you know, maybe some smaller way. But let's think of, like, the full limits of what you could really do with this power, okay? Is it, number one, is it only limited to inanimate objects? I would assume it would be, Because while there are devil fruits that do similar things, Oda usually typically changes the nature of them, so they have different kind of like a devil fruit, like for example, Buggy's Bara no Mi allows him to separate his body and kind of float around, and he can maneuver his body and slice it up as he sees fit. But then you also have Law's Opi no Mi that can kind of do the same thing, but there's a different theme to it. In Buggy's theme, it's the theme of chopping a body up, and in the theme of Law, it's surgery. So there might be some overlap in the Venn diagram of a bunch of different devil fruits, and then you have the devil fruits that are like upgraded versions of other fruits, like the upgraded version of the Yuki no Mi, Monet's snow fruit, is Aokiji's Hiya no Mi, or his chili fruit, the ability to control all of cold. The upgraded form of the Mera is the Magu, okay? So in that regard, this might be, well, you can kind of look at it in two different ways. If it's able to affect both living and inanimate objects, then I guess this would be the downgraded version of Bonnie's fruit, because Bonnie would be able to... Well, the thing is with Bonnie, we've only seen her use the ability on people, or like animals. I'm sure she can also use it on animals. We haven't seen her use the ability on any inanimate objects, so they might be related, in the cross there, but they might not be the upgraded, downgraded versions of the fruit. Unless both fruits are able to affect living and non-living things, which we haven't got a confirmation either way, really, I don't think. It's just that Bonnie's only used the ability on living things, and Shinobu's only used the ability on inanimate objects. So we can infer, but we're not 100% certain. So it might be an upgraded, downgraded, but I don't think it is. But I want to see that confirmed, because there's a big theory out there that Shinobu's ability is going to play an integral role for helping Momo out, because Momo being an 8-year-old kid, I'm sure Momo wants to be able to fight, in this battle, and he's tried already, but he got the crap beat out of him by Kanjuro when he tried to escape. A lot of people have this theory where Shinobu, through her maturation ability, is going to use the power on Momo and mature him so he's like 28 years old, like he would be, chronologically, given the fact he was born, over 20 years ago because of the time jump. So you're going to use the maturation ability, the Juku no Mi on Momo, have him grow to age 28, and he's got like a mighty beard or whatever, and he picks up Ame no Habakiri, and he like, shing, like slices down freaking Orochi or something. I mean, that would be a really cool scene to see there. Although I would say that, changing him physically wouldn't really affect him mentally. Like, Momo right now is still an 8-year-old child. He's still struggling with a lot of stuff in his life. I don't think, like, even if you did magically age him up to, like, age 28, he might have, like, muscles and stuff. He might be able to fight, but, mentally, he would still be an 8-year-old. So that's not really fixing the problem, Momo, I think, on his own, needs to be able to, train and improve, and, if he wants to live up to his father's legacy, he has to do that on his own. Or, I mean, he has the help of the scabbards and everything like that, but I don't think there's going to be, like, a quick fix there. I mean, that would be a really cool scene, him taking Ame no Habakiri, and maybe he looks a lot like Odin, he looks a lot like his father, and he's like, I will slice you down now, Orochi! Shing! Ha-ha! That would be neat to witness, but, I don't see that happening, and so far it seems like Shinobu couldn't even actually do that. But what's some other stuff she could do? Well, if she has the ability to rot anything she touches, what's the range we got on that? Because could she just walk up to a battleship and touch the battleship and decay the entire battleship? Actually, she doesn't even need to be able to decay the entire battleship, because if she can just decay a particular perimeter, she can just touch the battleship and make a giant gaping hole in it, and the damn thing won't be able to sail anymore. So that would be massively useful. Just, find the port on Onigashima. Find the port where they have all the battleships, all of Kaido's warships, and just have Shinobu go up and down the line and just be like, destroyed, destroyed, destroyed. Even if you can't destroy the whole thing, like, just rot the freaking hulls apart, or the keel. We've seen how much damage, if the keel gets wrecked, the whole ship is screwed. So just do that over and over and over again, right? Or what about the mountain? What about the Skull Mountain? Once again, it's a freaking mountain we're talking about here, so you might not be able to rot the entire thing. Just, Kaido's in there drinking, everybody's having a good time, and then all of a sudden the entire mountain just... The hell? And then, because it's multiple floors inside of that thing, the whole thing just collapses in on itself. That would be pretty OP if she could do that. That seems more of like an awakening version of the fruit. An awakened version of the Juku Juku no Mi, where the range doesn't really exist anymore. You touch something, and as long as you're like touching the ground. Oh my god, I just realized. Oh my god. Oh, Barry. I'm such an idiot. Oh. Hold on a sec, guys. Hold on a second. Oh, where'd I put it? Hold on. That's over here now. Alright, hold on. In case you're curious where I keep all my wall scrolls, there's the answer. Here it is. Oh my god. Are you serious with this shit? Alright. It's Shigaraki's quirk! That's what it is! Like, oh! Oh my god, I just got that! I'm sorry! Alright, so she's got Shigaraki's decay quirk. That actually gives us a good springboard here, because now we have a decent idea of all the stuff she can do. Because, no spoilers or anything, but in the recent arc of My Hero Academia, we've seen what that decay quirk can do, okay? Just picture that as an awakening of Shinobu's power. And, yeah. That's why. Because when I was making this video, I was thinking, man, I was like writing some notes down and stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, yeah, Shinobu's Juku Juku no Mi, her ripe fruit, man, that could actually do a lot of stuff. I was thinking of all the cool things, like dissolving the battleships in the mountain, but I was also thinking about stuff like, imagine like if Kaido, you know, like is using his Kanabo or something, and then Shinobu just runs up to the Kanabo, and like maybe Luffy or Law and Kid like hold him down briefly, and then Shinobu just runs up and touches the Kanabo, and the thing just gets dissolved and rotted and rusted and just falls apart. And Kaido's like, huh? What? Like he's being held down by Luffy and Law or something. He's like, what? I can't move. Get off of me. I'm gonna hit you with my... And then it just falls apart into rust in his hand. Sort of also similar to the rust fruit, but that involves anything, you know, and the rust fruit is... Actually, you know what? I think it's more of an upgrade, downgrade, maybe of the rust fruit. Because the rust fruit only has the ability to oxidize and rust away and decay anything that's made of metal, anything that can naturally rust. However, Shinobu's Juku Juku would be the upgraded version of that because it's able to decay anything she touches. Okay, so that's probably the better analogy there, the better comparison. But yeah, it would be the same basic effect. She touches the Kanabo, it just dissolves right there in Kaido's arms. Like, what? Dang it! You know, so, you know, she could be doing stuff like that. I was thinking there's possibilities here. That's the reason why! Because I made a video about Shigaraki, like, not even that long ago. Because the recent arc, read My Hero Academia. If you decided to put down My Hero for a little while, and you're like, I'll get back into it someday. Yeah, this is the time to get back into it right now! Alright, wherever you're at, start reading, pick it back up, and get to where we're at right now, because you will have a party, I guarantee it. Okay, so something else I wanted to bring up here is that unlike Shigaraki, Shinobu is a little bit more of a, not a comic relief character, especially after that last episode. Definitely not comic relief. She has a lot of comedy moments, and some of her techniques are kind of joke techniques, or just named in a comedic way, like in the bathhouse episode we had a couple episodes back, which I'm sure anybody watched the bathhouse episode. I skipped the bathhouse episode. Honestly, that was mostly filler. But no, she had the ball crushing jutsu technique, which I don't think had anything to do with her devil fruit. It was just like Sekushi Nimpo Boru Crusher, you know, and so she attacked the equipment of the men that were in the bathhouse that were like ogling them and stuff. So that's her secret technique, the ball crushing technique. So I started to think about like other kind of comedic joke techniques she could use with her Juku Juku no Mi. And if you actually think about it, if she has the ability to like maybe make a perimeter, you know, maybe not a very large perimeter, but like, you know, like I'll make a perimeter of my maturation powers and everything within the perimeter will be rotted away at my leisure. Even if it's not a very large perimeter, if enemies are attacking, she could make this perimeter and like, you know, and then she could maybe make not the actual people rot and age and decay, but their clothing. Cause let me tell you, if you're a member of Kaido's crew and you're all decked out with the BDSM armor and everything, and you got like spiked shoulder pads, and you got a helmet, and you got a sword and a shield, and there are the samurai rebels, charge men, rah! And then Shinobu's like, Sekushi Nimpo, and then kind of like Law's ability, but there's other devil fruits that work with perimeters. Law's not the only one on that, has a patent on that, but she uses that, and then like the sword, the shield, the armor, their underwear, everything just like that's gonna, I mean, even if you're a person that doesn't really care, it's like, well, whatever, Shinobu, I sleep in the nude. That's gonna throw you off your game a little bit, both figuratively, like, okay, I'm a little bit embarrassed here, and also literally, because, like, literally, if you're wearing shoes or boots or something, and you're charging at an enemy, and all of a sudden your boots just rot away off your freaking feet, you're gonna stumble a little bit, and you're gonna, like, all that weight immediately just gets, like, your sword, your shield, your armor, everything just gets dissolved immediately, just rotted away into dust. It'd be like, whoa, that's gonna throw you off your game a little bit there. Also, you're now completely naked. Now, a lot of the samurai in Wano might actually take that as like a dishonorable way to fight, like when Zoro was up against the sumo wrestlers at Okabore Town, or in the Bakura district at the sumo match, so the sumo wrestlers were coming after Zoro, and Zoro just lets them go by him, and Luffy's like, why didn't you cut them, Zoro? And Zoro's just like, I don't know, Luffy, cutting down a bunch of guys with no clothes on, just wearing the fundoshi or whatever, that's kind of against my code, I'm a noble samurai and everything, basically. His name's Zolo, he's like a samurai. He won't stab you in the back or anything, but even men that are coming directly toward him that are just naked, he's like, I don't really think I should slice those guys down, right? So that's against Zoro's, like, warrior code, and it's probably against the code of a lot of the other samurai and the scabbards and everything, but keep in mind, the way that Shinobu was raised was not as a samurai. She was raised as a damn kunoichi. She is a freaking ninja. Alright, and we even saw that last episode when she was like, oh, Beppo has been captured? Alright, well, we need to sneak into the prison and make sure that bear don't talk anymore, and then Law, that's the reason Law got so mad and stormed off, as he rightfully would. I mean, he's like, you're talking about assassinating my crew, screw you, and leaves, and I don't have to even be part of this, I could just leave here and just be gone. I wanted to take down Doflamingo, I already succeeded in that, right? Yeah, so that's her way of fighting, and of course, because she's so, distraught about the whole situation and being like, we've had 20 years, this is our one chance, so the whole dishonorable thing, I don't think that really applies to Shinobu. I could totally see her doing that. If she is capable of doing that. If she's capable of, like, I'm just gonna remove all their clothes immediately, and there you go. They'll either retreat, or they'll stumble, or we can attack them free shot, basically. I was thinking of, like, a joking kind of technique around that. Look, it sounds like it's a comedic technique at first, like, get all your clothes off you, but in actual battle, that would be extraordinarily practical. If, like, an army is charging at you and fully clad in heavy armor, and you just snap your fingers and the armor just disappears. Yeah, it's gonna be funny, like, haha, they're all naked. But, like, no, in reality, it'd be like, oh, okay, awesome, we're gonna win, okay? So, yeah, well, we'll see where that goes from there. But, yeah, overall, really powerful ability. I'm kind of picturing scenes, because she was with Carrot and Nami when they were in the brothel with Big Mom. And in the last chapter, we saw Big Mom capturing Carrot and Nami, and also recaptured Zeus. I don't think we saw Shinobu in the last chapter, which makes sense because with her mature ninja skills, she would be able to probably just, like, hurry up and hide in the ceiling, or maybe Nami and Carrot will be like, Shinobu, you get out of here, you can get away, at least we all don't get captured, right? So she might be hiding in the ceiling or something, she might be trying some way to capture, or, not capture, but, get Nami and everybody free from Big Mom, okay? Unless Shinobu was captured and I didn't just see it in the last chapter, because that scene where Big Mom, apparently I missed a lot of stuff from last chapter, where the scene where King takes out his scabbard and Kaido just takes the sword and just slices off Orochi. I mean, that was an awesome scene. I was so captivated by the moment of Kaido actually using the sword and just slicing off Orochi's head. I completely missed King was in the background. it's like King did that like a boss. He was just like, like they talked about it beforehand. Like Kaido's like, King, I'm gonna walk out there, I'm gonna slice off Orochi's head, so you know what to do. Yes, sir, Lord Kaido. They walk out there and Kaido's like, I'm taking over Wano, and Orochi's like, no, you're not, and King's like, yup, shing. Slice, I'm just like, he just holds the scabbard like this, and he's like, yep, and then, Kaido just slides it back in, just, yep. That's how we do things in Onigashima. Yep, I'm a Pteranodon. So, yeah, I missed a few things last chapter, but I don't think Shinobu was part of that. But yeah, if she isn't, I mean, even if it's not like an actual attack, like, make it a distraction, like, sneak under the floorboards of the Golden Kagura hallway and just make a giant sinkhole in the middle of the damn hallway. That would definitely distract a lot of people, knock a bunch of people down, or the ceiling, have the whole ceiling collapse on them. I mean, it wouldn't defeat the heavy hitters like the Calamities or Kaido, absolutely not, but it would cause a huge distraction, separate their forces, cause confusion. Very, very useful ability here. They should definitely be utilizing Shinobu's skills a lot more, so we'll see where this goes from here, and she actually also might be very integral. She couldn't dissolve Sea Prism, I'm assuming she couldn't, but wherever Kaido's road poneglyph is, because we still have yet to see Kaido's road poneglyph, I'm assuming it's in like the basements of Onigashima, locked up in like a dungeon and like behind a steel barrier or something. If Kaido was smart, he would have protected it with Sea Prism Stone like bars, so they couldn't, like, Devil Fruit users couldn't get in, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just regular steel way down in the dungeons of Onigashima, and if that's the case, you're gonna probably need either Shinobu's power or Brook's power. Well, here's the thing, like, if it's like a steel wall or something, if it's not like bars, if it's like a wall, like a room, like a reinforced big steel vault door, Brook would be able to sneak in using his Yomi Yomi no Mi, but he wouldn't be able to make a rubbing of it because he would be in soul form. So you would really honestly need Shinobu's power there to get into the room to take the rubbing of the poneglyph and get the hell out of there. So, yeah. Shinobu's power is really underutilized at this point in the story, and I think we should be definitely focusing on her more, if you say so myself, and I just did. So yeah, if you say so myself, I butchered that sentence. I think it's about time for me to get going. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. The thing to take away from this seminar is that Shinobu is Shigaraki's long-lost aunt. I guess that's the way to take it from there. This will be Tekking and Barry signing out. Barry, did you notice your hat was upside down this entire episode?